What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast pregame show. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host, joined by Ryan Wilson as we wait for John Breech. We're doing this thing on YouTube live following the Patriots and Bills game, 14-10, the final. Pats win. I know people complain about this game. People complain about everything. I liked this game. I found this game entertaining. It was fast. It's 11-18. Like, why couldn't that have been Sunday Night Football?
If there were no commercials, this game would have been over at 9:30 because it was 3 and out, punt, 3 and out, punt, turnover, 3 and out. Mac Jones threw 3 passes. He didn't want to throw. He looked like they would have gone all night and not thrown any if they had the opportunity.
I can't believe they actually threw in the fourth quarter instead of just running the ball and setting the record for least pass attempts in NFL history.
And if Damian Harris hadn't gotten hurt, they probably would have.
If you've got questions about the game while we wait for Breech, drop them in the chat. Also, smash the like button if you're watching, because we would love to give away a Brinson Sucks hat. We gave away one last night. We'll probably give away another one. So hit that like button. Oh man, you guys are doing a good job. Thanks.
The hats are stuck at the distributor, so hopefully they will be mailed to the wholesaler or to the retailer next week. By next week.
Did you hear what Joe Buck said? The little burn he got on Peyton Manning.
I don't watch.
You don't watch the Manning cast. At the end, it wasn't a blowout, but it's 4-point game. Pats are, running out the clock, making sure that they, because it was a little dicey in terms of would the Bills get the ball back, like after the failed fourth down. But Peyton goes, "Hey Joe, do you ever wish you had a guest you could talk to during a blowout?" And Joe Buck goes, "Yeah, the last time I thought about that was when you played the Seahawks in the Super Bowl."
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a sick burn.
Yeah, that was, I had the flu at that Super Bowl. It's a different time. Like, I went to the actual press box, no mask on, coughing all over everybody, and no one thought twice about it other than this jerk is at the Super Bowl with the flu.
Did Nick Hewitt says in the chat that I said my prediction on the show that the Pats WFT parlay would hit? I totally remember saying that.
Well, you know who crushed their picks today on HQ? 4 out of 5.
Oh yeah, Damian Harris, great work.
+6, was that +650?
Yeah, he was the favorite to do it.
Matt, can you imagine betting the Mac Jones over 198 passing yards?
No, I cannot. I cannot imagine doing that.
And Dawson Knox dropped 3 passes. He would have gotten 29.5 easy on the receptions. But I'll take it.
Yeah. Dawson, the tough beats were Dawson. I mean, look, I was surprised that Cole Beasley's usage was so low, given where he works. #sharp. That's right. Given where he works in terms of the line of scrimmage, Knox easily should have gotten his over yardage.
Even if the last pass was a
great the last pass was defense, but he had 2 pretty bad drops.
2 other ones get you over 29.5 because he had 1 other reception.
Yeah.
And then just the under, and then the Patriots covering the -3.
Yeah. And I had the Patriots money line as well. Yeah. I mean, look, the Allen rushing touchdowns.
Mac Jones 2 for 3.
Depends on when you bet Josh Allen's rushing yards, because it moved up. I think Sully and I had it at like on the pre-pod, we had it at like 34.5. It closed at 40.5, which is insane how close he rushed for 39 yards, right? Or 40 yards.
Pros, yeah.
He rushed for 39 yards. It's crazy how close they get these things.
Yeah, that was good.
Well, yeah. I agree. Zach Engel says, I don't care what anyone says.
That was fun.
That was a fascinating game.
It was like watching a game from the 30s. Like, no one had figured out how passing worked really. When the guy gets open, the quarterback runs around to the pocket because he's not used to taking 5 or 7 step drops.
Yeah.
Patrick Sidley says, Mac is a winner. He doesn't care about stats. I don't know if Patrick's being serious or sort of being silly. Either way, it's true. Like,
well, I agree. I don't think he cares about it. Like, this is, and we'll get into this on the podcast. I don't want to do a full blown recap. So again, holler if you got questions, and if you're leaving early, we'll try
wait for Breech because he has to write winners and losers. What does he do? Grades. He gives grades.
I mean, we're not in a huge rush. I'm just saying,
just so people understand what's going on. Why you keep saying you don't want to talk about the game?
Well, I don't want if people are hanging out for the recap podcast.
I get it. I'm just explaining to them that we're waiting for Breech because he's writing right now.
Exactly.
And Clarence asked in the chat if he has connection issues. I don't think he had them last night, for being honest.
Yeah, we think he bailed out.
He was on HQ today with me and Brinson, and he seemed, other than saying Belichick about 15 times, he seemed fine.
Did the the weather was, I mean, that was insane.
Prisco hated it. Snow, he doesn't mind. Rain, he's fine with.
Shut up about how much he
Wind doesn't make sense.
This game's not fun. I was like, what are you talking about? This is like, I love this stuff.
I mean, honking that 33-yard field goal that looked like it was going right down the middle. You don't get that. Or the first kickoff that went into the third row.
Oh yeah. Opening kickoff goes into the stands, and then the other
75-yard punt from Bailey.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about this in the pod too, but I thought that Bill Belichick versus Sean McDermott was 40 chess versus checkers. I mean,
except I don't know why a guy's named N'Keal Harry was back there fielding the punt for the first time in his life.
Weird. Oh, I know why, because Belichick, like me, bet on the under on N'Keal Harry receiving yards. He needs to play at least one snap for it to count.
But I will say this. It's funny you mentioned that because I noticed it during the game. Anyone with two eyes noticed it. If you're looking at these two guys, the coaches just like on ISO boxes, on isolation shots, you're thinking one guy probably just smoked a ton of weed and the other guy just did a bunch of speed, like the way they're behaving. Yeah. And Sean McDermott's sort of been like that in the Bill Belichick matchups. Yeah. Last year was different because he finally got to stick it to him.
It means a lot to Sean McDermott and Josh Allen.
But I was at the Bills Pats game in 2019 in October when the Bills started 3-0, maybe late September, and Josh Allen got knocked out of the game with concussion. He didn't play well. They had a chance to win, but they didn't win it just because, that was the history things. That's the game prior to kickoff where Sean McDermott ran off a bunch of Patriots people who he thought were like sneaking
spying on him. Yeah.
Whatever before the game. And he was livid. And I think that's sort of, how you say living rent free in someone's head or whatever they say on the internet. It feels like that's sort of the scenario here.
Well, as that point, I mean, look, I didn't think, and I said all week, this has been my sort of main talking point, was that the Bills went down or went across. Yeah, they went east last year on Monday Night Football week 16 and beat the living crap out of the Patriots.
Oh, right. Yeah, east.
And they were basically like, hey, look, this division is ours now. And Belichick, I mean, that was, you saw his celebration with his son, Steve. Oh, man, they're showing I guess the Bills are pre-gaming. I wouldn't want to be around Bills Mafia after a loss. I bet they don't take that very well.
Jump through some tables.
Hold on. There was a great comment in there. Not the.
Here you go, Debo. I got this comment for you. You can put it up now. We can put it up later.
Dax Van Liegen, who says, I'm still upset the Pack beat the Huskers in quadruple overtime. Mr. Sea Otters says,
Mr. Sea Otters.
Love a good Sea Otter. Says that McDermott should have called his timeouts in the first quarter or third quarter to maximize his win advantage. I agree with that. The timeout usage was terrible for awful for the Bills. The challenge on 4th and 1, where
that was silly.
You just don't challenge a quarterback sneak.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Matt could have come up 2 feet short. I couldn't tell. Like if you said massive bodies, but
all right. Breech has just retweeted me, noting that we were pre-gaming, so he should be here fairly soon. M. Jones asks, wait, why does Benson look clean?
I think he got a haircut, if I had to guess, and the hair plugs.
Nah, if I'm wearing a hat, I'm probably not clean. I have a button up on because I was doing HQ earlier.
I wanted to make today, Debo, this is what I wore for HQ today. Usually I wear like a tie and a jacket.
Yeah, what's going on? What was the deal with that?
Well, I'll tell you. I wore this, but I wore like a sports jacket over it.
Yeah, I was on with you. I saw.
I'm talking to Debo and the people that are listening.
Okay, come on.
Jesus. And I wanted to make the joke. I couldn't fit in there. I didn't want to overdo it. I wanted to say, I thought this was fantasy football today. And I want to say, what's the line that he says? How do we do, fellow kids?
Yeah. So, how did that end up happening? Where you wore a hoodie and a blazer?
I thought it was just going to be us in the first segment. Usually we do the draft segment later, like at 4:30.
Oh, you would have done button up for or tie for the draft segment.
But I figured if we're doing this first, I'll just leave it on and be, casual Monday or whatever.
So is that a thing we can do now? Can I start wearing?
You never dress up anyway.
Well, I got messed up because we do a Wednesday night hit, and and we hadn't done one since daylight savings time started. It was like dark outside, and I was like, like I've already done. Like in my brain was
no, we're doing last week. We've been doing them every Wednesday.
But that was the first one we've done since daylight savings time.
Oh, you just
I was saying, like, it was like dark outside. I was like walking around. All of a sudden, I get this call from like Stryker, our producer, and he's like, "Hey, bro, like, you pop it on." I was like, "Oh my god!" I didn't have time to run up and get a shirt, so I did it in the Kyle Porter special, with like a t-shirt and a vest. Actually, I think I might
every Wednesday you forget, which is like your phone can set reminders for you.
I have it on my calendar. I don't know what happens.
Every Wednesday, it's
Patrick Seeley asks, so are we going to talk about the elephant in the room, Mac? Mac 1-0 all time against Josh Allen. That's right. Josh Allen has never beaten Mac Jones.
Take that, Prisco.
Yeah.
By the way, I do love, and I'm going to be peacocking about this until the end of time or until Mac turns into a pumpkin, how people on the Twitter, the draft Twitter crew, people just rewriting history about how they knew that Mac was going to be good and they didn't have him rated that low. And it's just so funny.
And we'll talk about this on the podcast, but this is actually a good time to clear it up so we're not like fumbling through it. Clarence G points out the Bills should have taken the win in the fourth quarter. I think the Patriots won the toss, correct?
The Bills won the toss and deferred, so I would imagine the Patriots chose the direction.
Oh,
which makes sense.
Okay, yeah, because the Patriots would never. Wait, so the Bills won the toss and deferred.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I'll double check, but I thought that's what they said at the beginning of the old telecast.
So then the Patriots said,
"We'll go this way, so we'll have the win in the fourth quarter."
Okay, so all right, because I think when you're coming out, if you defer, you're going to make your selection after halftime, right? I mean, obviously, I was asking it rhetorically, but so Sean McDermott and his coaching staff, did they make a decision about could they have given the Patriots the ball to start the third quarter and taken the wind in the fourth? Is my question.
I think so, yeah. But let's see. Let me double check though. I thought that's what they said, but I don't pay attention a lot to the Bills won the coin toss and deferred, which I think means they choose which side the first half. This is David Fucillo's tweeting this. He works for DraftKings, but yeah, they did win. They did in fact win the toss. So they won the toss, and then the Patriots said, and they deferred, and the Patriots said, "We'll go this way."
The Patriots chose. Yeah, the Patriots chose. The Patriots wanted the wind
in the fourth.
Wanted to go into the wind in the first quarter.
That's right.
That way they were going to run. They weren't going to throw a pass.
So at the end of the first half and the end of the second half, they would have the wind at their back.
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering. So if you defer, you get to choose. By the way, hit the like button if you're watching. Smash that like button.
The reason the Patriots got to choose is because the Bills said we either want the ball or we want to kick the ball. And once you make that decision, the other team gets to decide which direction you're going.
Right. That's sort of what I'm asking. Is like so when the Bills deferred on they're deferring on the and we've covered the NFL for like 15 years, so we should probably know this. But I mean, these win games.
Breech probably knows it. He's
Breech. Yeah, Breech. Can you hear us?
Yeah, what's up?
So the Bills win the coin toss, and they decide to kick instead of taking the ball.
They deferred.
At which point, the Patriots can decide which direction they want to go, correct?
Yes.
My question is, when the Patriots decide so the Bills are like, we're deferring. The Patriots then can say, we want to go this way in the first quarter. Is that then locked in for the next, for the full game? Like which direction you're going to go. So the Bills can't come out of halftime and say, hey, we now want to go this way.
No.
The Bills won the coin toss.
Yes, and deferred.
And chose to kick off, and they wanted the ball in the second half. And they got the ball in the second half. So, again, the Patriots get to choose which way the kickoff goes. So, if the Bills did not want the ball in the second half, they could have chosen their side, but then they wouldn't have gotten a kickoff for either half.
Right.
So, the Patriots got a new decision to start the second half. Because first, the Bills are asked, would you like to receive or would you like to kick off again? And they said, we want to receive, obviously, because it's the second half and you want the ball.
Because we've had instances where teams have deferred.
Remember the Jason Garrett situation where he
the overtime situation? I think was it Jim Caldwell? Where
don't say a bad word about my guy James Caldwell.
There's definitely an overtime where it's like he's like we defer.
The win was so bad and it was sudden death years.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And he's like, I don't want the ball first, but it's sudden death. Of course.
Marty Morningweg did that. That was Marty Morningweg.
Oh, there we go. Oh my God.
How dare you?
So bad.
But then remember it was the Cowboys primetime game a few years ago where Jason Garrett messed something up and was going to give maybe against the Patriots was going to give them the ball to start the first and second halves because of whatever he did. But then the NFL stepped in and was like, hey, there's some discrepancy about what was said. Maybe in a 4:00 game.
But that's exactly the scenario Breech laid out. You have that. You can actually do that if you want to choose the direction you want to go after deferring.
So I guess my larger point is, and I would rather do this on now before we start the podcast, so we're not fumbling around like the rule book. But so if Sean McDermott won the coin toss, he could have then said, I want to go this way in the first quarter, and it would be locked for the full game.
He would get that's right. He could.
Wait, he had won the coin toss?
If the Bills won the coin toss and he deferred instead of saying, I want to go this way in the first quarter, then he screwed up royally.
Wait, if you win the coin toss,
if he won the coin toss and they chose and they chose to take a side and
you can do side or ball, like you can.
No,
right?
I think if he chose a side, then he doesn't get in the ball the second half as well. Is that right, Breech?
No, because you're not. If you defer, you're deferring your choice
of
the
ball
the second half
to the second half.
To the second half.
Yes,
because you don't necessarily have to take the ball. You could decide based on the win which way you want to go. So if he said
no, hold on.
No, just let him finish. Let him finish.
If he had picked a side, it would have been the Patriots' choice to start the second half because the Bills used their choice in the first half. Each team gets a choice in each half. So the Bills would have said, we want to pick a side. So the Patriots in that instance would have said, well, we want the ball first. And then they would have also gotten the decision to start the second half. And they probably would have also wanted the ball first. So they would have gotten the ball twice.
So the Bills would have been able to, in fact, decided the direction, but not gotten the ball at the beginning of both halves, which is the scenario you laid out previously.
So if coming out of halftime, the Bills deferred to the second half. The Bills had a choice coming out of halftime because the Bills
what did they do in the first half after they deferred? That's important.
Like in terms of possessions or like.
Well, did they take a side or did they kick or did they take the ball?
I don't know.
Because that's important. That's what Breech is saying. Like what happens at the start of the second half is dependent. If
they deferred, then the Patriots picked in the first half, right?
No, they deferred and said, "We'll kick" in the first half.
Oh, all right. So they said we're going to defer and we're going to use our choice in the second half.
So they kicked.
Right.
And Belichick chose to take the kickoff rather than pick the win. Because if he had picked the win, if he had said, we want the wind, in our face or whatever in the first quarter, and at our back in the second quarter.
The Bills could have gotten 2 possessions.
Right. And he's not going to do that. He's not going to, like even Bill Belichick. Yeah.
But I guess my point is, I'm trying to figure out, could Sean McDermott have controlled which direction the Bills are going in the fourth quarter after he won the coin toss? And I don't know the answer to that. We're not starting until I look at this.
I need to draw this. Are we on right now?
No, we're not live right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you, Daryl.
Yeah, of course. It's not like I'm a brick. Somebody call me a brick.
I mean, we're live. Don't confuse Breech too much.
Yeah, don't get it twisted.
I mean, I feel like this is a fair discussion to have about it. I guess I should have listened to did they explain it on the regular broadcast and I didn't hear it?
No, they just said that they deferred and then that the Patriots were getting the ball, and then we knew that the Bills would get the ball to start the second half, and then if usually the math is that you or at least I thought the math was if you go one direction first and third and then second and fourth, but then Breech noted that you can be different depending on the dynamics of the coin flip.
I just thought it was massively important to have the ball or to have the win behind you in the fourth quarter.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, if Sean McDermott felt like his offense could score touchdowns, it may not have mattered. And so I don't think it's the end all be all to have the ball at the end of the game. They still had an opportunity to win the game. They were down to the 12-yard line.
Here it is. All right. If you win the coin toss, you must choose one of the 2 privileges, and the loser is given the other. It actually says privileges in there, which is a little weird. The 2 privileges are A, this is Section 2, Article 2 of the NFL rulebook. A, the opportunity to receive the kickoff or to kick off, or B, the choice of goal his team will defend. Something about if the coin doesn't turn over, yada, yada, yada. For the second half, the captain who lost the pregame toss is to have the first choice of the 2 privileges listed in A or B, unless one of the teams lost its first or second half options, or unless the winner of the pregame toss deferred his choice to the second half, in which case he must choose A or B above. So Belichick got to choose, but I'm just wondering, can you change yeah, of course you can. You can choose A or B. So
that's what I was saying is
that's what Breech said.
That right. Belichick chose to receive in. So what you're saying is why didn't the Bills decide to have the wind at their back in the fourth quarter?
And this is why Belichick outsmarted him. Belichick almost always is going to kick off in the first half because he wants the ball in the second half because he likes to score at the end of the second quarter and then score at the beginning of the third quarter. I mean, that's like him and Brady's thing, right? But when Belichick took the ball, they took the ball on the kickoff, right?
Yeah, went 3 and out.
When he took the ball on the kickoff, he basically went checkmate on Sean McDermott, because then McDermott would have had to pick the wind or give Belichick like 2 extra possessions by deferring and taking the wind. So really, really smart by Belichick.
No, it's not. Sean McDermott won the coin toss. He could have taken the ball in the first half.
And if he'd taken the ball, he would have forced Belichick to pick wind. That's what I'm saying. McDermott screwed up.
No, he didn't. I mean, they had the ball with 2 minutes to go on the 10-yard line,
throwing into the wind
to win the game.
But you want to be. If they did,
I get that.
we can talk about this on the podcast. Okay, I've got my answer now. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're overplaying it, but that's right.
People hated that conversation.
You could add my name to the list. Yes.
Well, I'm sorry I showed up for it, to be honest.
I mean, okay, sorry. Did people sprint out of YouTube? So what did Samir say? If Brinson tried this hard at school, he'd actually be a lawyer. It's probably true.
This is where we all put on our Brinson sucks hat.
Look,
all right, let's go. Fire it up.
We're gonna go.
No, I mean, I like that he got it out. Like, you don't want him having that conversation during the podcast.
Right.
I do get that. I get that.
I agree with that.
It's fair. I mean, doing that on the podcast would have been like, audio is just like just you see the stat show just streams just dive down.
No, okay. We see that in the YouTube chat.
Lloyd Baltimore says nothing has been clarified. We have clarified it. We'll argue about it in a few minutes when we go live. Hit the like button. We're going to give away a hat. If we get to what do we need, Devo? What do you
11 more likes. That's it.
We're to 100. That's it.
I set it a little low tonight. What can I say? I was feeling generous. We're at 89 right now. We need to get to 100. We'll give away the hat pretty soon.
Let's go. Roll them on up. We'll give a hat away during the podcast, early in the podcast, maybe. Okay. We will do this weird, awkward pause, and then we'll go live for the old pod. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. It is still, if you're watching on the YouTubes, Monday, December 6th. If you're listening to the podcast, it's probably Tuesday, December 7th, and we are going to recap what I thought was a very enjoyable 14-10 Patriots win over the Buffalo Bills in a weird weather game that you just don't see that often. And I like weird weather games, so I have no problem with it. Joining me to do so, Ryan Wilson and John Breech. What's up, boys?
Breech, we now live in a world where the Bengals are the 6th seed, and just behind them at number 7 are the Buffalo Bills at 7-5.
And it's a world I love, Ryan. It is a world I love, and I am happy to be here tonight. Passive aggressive Breech is back. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do something after Wilson showed up in 14 Steelers shirts last on the Sunday night recap.
It took him 4 hours after the show to get out of his clothes.
If you're watching on YouTube, we are going to give away a hat that says Brinson sucks on it that you can proudly wear Christmas with your family, and they'll be like, who the hell is
Open
Brinson?
Presents, take pictures, put them on Twitter, and we can all enjoy them together.
If you're wearing a Brinson sucks hat over Christmas, by all means, send it to us, or you put it on your grandmother's hat or grandfather's hat, whatever you want to do. My parents' hat. Hit the like button. That'll make you eligible. Hit the like button and write hat in the chat. That'll make you eligible for it. If you're not watching on YouTube, you can come hang with us. We're live on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6, or search Pick Six Podcast in the YouTube app after every single Sunday night, Monday night, and Thursday night show. Also, Tuesday at 1 p.m. It'll be a little different for the holidays probably, but Ryan hosts a mock draft show. And then on Thursday at 1 p.m., myself, RJ White, and Pete Prisco make picks for the week. They were bad this week, so let's see. But I did have the Patriots as a best bet and said that the Patriots would win outright. They did just that, 14-10. Your boy Mac Jones, Ryan, was electric. I mean, just, you see, you wonder, he plays at Alabama, all this talent around him, first round wide receivers, tons of, high end offensive linemen, great running backs behind him. Can he do the same thing at the NFL? And he came in and for 3/4 of this game had a perfect passer rating, finished the game 2 for 3 for 19 yards and
slanging it.
And look, people were mad that Mac Jones wasn't throwing the ball for some reason, but Belichick ran the ball. Damian Harris, 10 carries, 111 yards, scored the first touchdown, which you called on
plus 650.
Plus 650, the chalky favorite. Good job. And then Ramondre Stevenson, 24 carries, 78 yards. Some of those, he ran better than those numbers indicate, I think. But what did you think of the game plan to take Mac out of the game plan?
Well, we were all on HQ on Monday afternoon, and we all pretty much said that with the weather and the way the Patriots offense is set up, they're going to run the ball. Breech noted that the Bills' run defense is pretty good. They weren't really that great. They knew what was coming, and for 45 minutes, they had very few answers. What do you got, Breech?
I was just going to say, I said on the HQ show, if the Patriots rushed for more than 140 yards, they would win.
Yeah,
that was my wins over Breech.
You also said the Bills' run defense was really good.
No. I said that in their losses, they had given up 140 yards rushing per game, and so that was the key to beating them.
By the way, passive aggressive Breech is indeed back. He literally just said if they rush for 500 yards, they're going to win the football game. Yeah.
No, I just said the Bills have been incredibly bad at stopping the run in losses. It's not like teams are beating through the air when the Bills lose. They're being beaten on the ground. That is what I said, but you don't pay attention to what I say.
No, your wife.
You're the Brinson of HQ.
See, this is what you do though. You like to create chaos when there's when people want to examine things that you said.
Gaslighting.
Chaos. Yeah, it's a redacted person was very good at this, and actually, anywho, Breech creates chaos. So you're like, I don't remember what Breech said.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I know exactly who you mean, and that's him.
Yes.
Ridiculous.
So, look, people were mad that the Patriots weren't throwing.
Just to be clear, people on Twitter, no one else is mad. I was quite comfortable with the game.
And people on Twitter are mad about everything.
Yeah.
The Patriots ended up running for 222 total yards, 46 rushes, 4.8 yards per rush.
Breech called it.
Well, again, that sort of undercuts how good they were running the football because
how bad the other team was at stopping it when they knew it was coming.
Mac Jones had one pass attempt in the first half, and the Patriots were averaging over 6 yards per rush going into halftime. Like the Bills had no answer for it. And
it's not like Damian Harris runs a 4.3. He's a plotter with a pulled hamstring, and he ripped off a 64-yarder and was literally untouched. One cut right at the middle of the field and sashayed into the end zone. So, you have questions about that, clearly.
Look, Mac Jones's first pass attempt, and he didn't throw again until the fourth quarter, I don't believe.
I think that's right.
Yeah, because they had to win with him.
32 straight runs in between those passes.
But Mac's pass attempt, his first pass attempt was to Jonnu Smith in the first quarter. And any ball that got up in the air more than like 5 or 6 feet above the air absolutely got caught up by the wind. And Jonnu Smith had to tip it twice to catch it. It was a miracle that it was caught. You did not want your rookie quarterback, who I think 6 years ago tweeted, "I've never seen snow," up in Buffalo trying to can passes into the wind. Mac's having a great season, probably going to win Rookie of the Year. But his, Wilson, you talked about leading up to the draft. His strengths are not, when you look at his
his strengths are not throwing into a 70-mile-an-hour wind.
Arm strength is not his deal.
And as it turns out, Josh Allen has the strongest arm in the NFL, or one of the strongest arms. He was 15-30, and he missed on a lot of targets. The point is that the weather was terrible. So if you're angry on Twitter that the Patriots aren't running the ball, just look across the field, the other offense that was struggling to move the ball in the air and on the ground.
I will say, though, Josh Allen probably should have been 21-30 for about 250 yards. Yeah. In his defense, it felt like everyone else on offense let him down. He was the only one that came to play. Stephon Diggs had that really tough one in the end zone, but as tough as that catch would have been, Josh Allen.
Oh, wait a second! In the fourth quarter, late on the back shoulder?
the deep pass that he literally put right in his hands. Diggs had to zigzag because the ball floats in the air, but it hit him in the hands, Ryan. I don't know what else.
But he had to. I think he had to turn from.
It would have been a difficult catch, but Josh Allen made a perfect throw. Is what I'm saying.
It's one thing for Dawson Knox to bang on him, but
and Dawson Knox had 2 just horrible drops that probably would have been about 30 yards, and Ryan's over would have hit. So. It was a peculiar game. The one thing I will say, though, is that just give Bill Belichick Coach of the Year right now, because this was a total Belichick game. Look, if they had showed up to the stadium today and the winds were 1 mile an hour, they would have had a completely different game plan. It looked like the Patriots were the team in Buffalo. Belichick so outcoached McDermott here, was almost embarrassing. And, Belichick got out there, saw the kickers are kicking 35-yard field goals and they're blowing and missing by 35 yards. You can't punt. You can't throw the ball. So what do? We're just going to run it 46 times and only throw 3 passes. McDermott, on the other hand, is like, well, we've got strong arm Josh Allen. We're going to just let him cut through the wind, which you can't do that with 60-mile-an-hour winds. If Belichick was coaching the Bills, they would have done the same thing. They would have run it 45 times and thrown maybe 8 passes instead of 3 because they have Josh Allen. But this was just Belichick took what Mother Nature gave him, and Sean McDermott thought he could beat Mother Nature, and that's why Bill Belichick is the best coach in the NFL.
I don't know if that's quite accurate. I don't know. I think
you think if it was a sunny day and 40
I agree
degrees
about
in
the Patriots
Buffalo,
part of it. I don't think that Sean McDermott was trying to overcome Mother Nature with his bare hands. I think that he has Josh Allen versus Mac Jones. And you just said Josh Allen his stats should be better than what they were. I still don't think they were great, but I think he outplayed Mac Jones. That's not really asking much, but I don't think it was a clear disparity in coaching. But let me ask you this, Breech, because I was talking to Brinson about this before you said. Let me ask Breech this.
Brinson, you're on my side, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
You guys both also thought the over was going to hit. So let's settle down on how smart you two nuts are. Let me ask you this, Breech. If you had just walked into the room, and I know that you listened to the game on without the sound on, so you watched the game without the sound on, and they just had 2 cameras, one on McDermott and one on Bill Belichick, and you couldn't hear, but you just saw them, what would your takeaway be in terms of how this game is going? Because it was clear to me one person was way more excited than the other person.
I mean, yeah, there's no doubt about it. McDermott looked like this was coaching his Super Bowl. He did not want to lose this game. And Belichick went in there like, this is another game. He expected to win, and he coached it like he would any other game. Okay, he coached it like he would any other game in the sense that, like, his emotion doesn't get high, it doesn't get low. He gets mad if there's a bad call, but that's about it. He keeps his composure no matter what.
Did you see his, probably didn't. I just happened to have Countdown on at my house because I was watching Adam Schefter and Susie Colbert fall out of their chairs because the wind was so bad. But Lisa Salters interviewed Belichick, and he was in the tunnel underneath the stadium.
Wait, was this after the game or before the game?
Before the game. Okay. And he comes out and he's wearing, I think he had his hood, maybe his hood pulled over. I got it on my phone somewhere, but he had a Navy mask, like Navy midshipman mask on. And I don't think
like
he
a
even
ski mask.
A what?
A ski mask?
No, a mask, like a COVID mask, like a
gotcha.
face mask. And I don't think McDermott didn't have one on when he did his interview. And Belichick, he answered, I think, 3 questions. He might have said 9 words. At that point, I was like, I want more Pat's money line. I was like, because I think that, again, and I said this before, the Bills went to New England in week 16 last year and humiliated Belichick, like kicked him while he was down, humiliated
4 touchdowns for Josh Allen.
Allen lit them up, won the division, and sent a message. And I believe that Belichick was celebrating pretty hard when it looked like they won and they could run out the clock with his son Steve on the sidelines. I think that this game mattered a lot to him to say, hey, hold on, boys. It's cute that you think you got this division. This is my division.
I don't think anyone disagrees with that. I think, as I told you before Breech showed up, that Sean McDermott takes it up 10 notches when he plays the Patriots. Last year was the blip on the radar, as you noted, because they railroaded him twice. But they were 0-3 prior to that with Josh Allen. And I mentioned the game I went to in October 2019 where the Patriots came to Buffalo where the Bills were 3-0, and they won that game. And before that game, I don't know if you remember this, Breech. You seem to remember these sort of conspiracy theory things.
Belichick just walked up to the podium in a leather jacket and a turtle, and he's feeling it a little bit.
And that's when Sean McDermott kicked the Patriots staffers off the field before the game because he thought they were, quote unquote, spying on them. Yeah, and he was really animated. And I saw that same sort of animated, angry, confused face on Monday night on the sidelines when he called the official over literally every 10 minutes to yell at him about something that was probably inconsequential in the big scheme of things. And
I mean, yeah, to your point, like McDermott, a little bit, I don't think this is not necessarily a good comparison, but the way that McDermott treats these Patriots games is a little reminiscent of how Rex Ryan would treat him, where Belichick wouldn't do this. You wouldn't, as Breech points out, you guys both point out maybe, but you wouldn't see you don't want to get too high or too low when you're going up against someone as the best coach in the history of football. And, a team that's running, it felt like McDermott was worked up a little too much for this to make sensible decisions. Now,
what?
I'm not saying he was like irrational, just that like you got to, your point was right. You have to keep your cool when you're going up against Belichick. You don't need to get over emotional, over
But it wasn't like this wasn't Jason Garrett out there coaching. I thought he coached a fine game for the most part. You mentioned, someone in the comments mentioned that the timeout usage could have been better, and I agree with that. But I mean, we have complaints about every coach, every game, but I don't think he was thoroughly and wholly out coached.
The challenge on the 4th and 1, I understand.
I wouldn't have done it, but I get it.
Yeah. Well, it's a tough spot because you're like clearly he didn't get the first down, but you also have to know that there's no chance in hell that New York is.
Well, it wasn't clear. Like I told you, maybe he's 2 feet short. I can't see him. Like I don't know where he is.
10 yards short. It wouldn't matter. Like if you can't see him, you can't.
It was too jumbled of a pile. Like whoever told McDermott that was a waste of a timeout. There was no when have they ever overturned a QB sneak? Especially when there's that pile and you can't tell where anyone is because it's a jumbled mess. And Mac Jones was even at the end of that play, he creeped through like a worm and ended like 4 yards ahead. And it looked like he never even hit the ground because he was just stuck on top of a pile of bodies, but you don't even know that because it was such a mess. So dumb challenge.
And the guys that are sprinting in are, it's like, and Bill Vinovich actually.
And if you had that timeout, they could have had 40 seconds left at the end of the game.
Correct. And then there was another timeout where there's a headset malfunction that they were forced to call timeout with. And look, you're not in Foxborough, so you can't, you gotta blame your, you're at home. There's no shenanigans. Ernie Adams ain't pulling the plug out, while you're not looking. Also, on the coaching front, we talked about this in the pregame. We'll try to make it a more concise and sensible discussion. But the coin toss, it normally, although Wilson is the Patriots coin toss beat writer, normally coin toss, whatever. Like in a Patriots game, I guess it matters because Belichick likes to defer because he wants to have the ball last in the second quarter and first in the third quarter so he can score twice. Tom Brady talked about that a few weeks ago on Monday Night Football. It is a thing that the Patriots like to do and that anybody should like to do because you can score twice on your opponent without them touching the football. And that's demoralizing and points are good. Sean McDermott and the Bills won the coin toss. They then deferred to the second half. Now so we looked it up. And I was having a discussion with before the game with smart people who are good at gambling, and it was Andy and Drew of the of Bet Spurts and the Deep Dive podcast. But nobody, there's a bunch of NFL rules. You're like, oh, you know what? I just realized I don't know what the hell the rule is for the second half of the coin toss. Breech, you're good at these bizarre technicalities. Should Sean McDermott have done something different other than deferring in the first half? Because as a result of his deferral, the Patriots had the wind behind their backs, which it was clear that it was a lot easier to play offense in the second and fourth quarters when it mattered. They forced Josh Allen throwing into the wind in the fourth quarter.
Well, so I think, this goes back to the whole thing, how deferring has become the automatic thing you do if you win the coin toss. And I'm assuming coaches like to do that so that they can get the kickoff in the second half, because at that point you understand the flow of the game. You understand what you need to do. If you're up 21-0 at halftime, you can take that first possession, try and run the ball and get crazy. If you're down a touchdown, you just know where you are in the game. And I think that's why coaches a lot of time tend to defer to the second half so they can get the opening kickoff of the second half. But I think there are situations where you outthink yourself, and that was kind of this with Sean McDermott. I think if I'm the Bills and I win the coin toss, I probably take the ball first to start the game, and that way I get the decision of which way the wind's going to be blowing, whether it's in my face or at my back in the second half. I'd rather have that decision in the second half than the first half, and that's what McDermott didn't do. He gave the Patriots the choice to, obviously they received the opening kickoff, and then that gave the Patriots the wind option in the second half, and I would not have given that to Belichick. So if I'm McDermott, I would have chosen to receive the ball to start the game, and then I would have had the decision in the second half on which side I wanted to defend first.
Just to be clear, the Patriots scored 8 points into the win and 6 points with the wind at their backs.
They scored. Sorry, say it again.
8 points against the win into the win, and the remaining 6 points with the win at their back.
Well, right, but also
you noticed, but they passed the ball 3 times.
But also Tyler Bass missed a 33-yard field goal in the fourth quarter into the win that he probably makes.
That forced him to throw on 4th and 14 instead of trying to kick to win the.
So I mean, it definitely factored into it.
I get it, but at the end of the day, it's not that like it's not like a 4D chess from Belichick. I think that's what McDermott wanted to do. Could he have done something differently? Yeah, I get it, but I'm not going to crucify the guy for that decision.
Well, all right, so I'm not saying that he blew the game doing that. I just think
I know. I'm just making it clear.
It's just more interesting to look at it in a game like this where
it matters.
It matters more than a normal game.
I think I don't think that Bill Belichick just off the cuff decided what he wanted to do with the kick. So this is my point. Is Belichick so McDermott defers so he can make a decision in the second half. Belichick almost always, I think like 99% of the time, if somebody defers there, he's kicking off because he wants, right? I mean, like, wouldn't he kick off there if McDermott deferred normally? Because he wants to get the ball in the second half, right? Am I an idiot here? Have I lost it again?
If he kicks off, he's not getting the ball in the second half.
If the Bills defer, the team that defers is almost always going to be kicking off to start the game.
Yeah. Right. Okay, yeah. Sorry. All right, ignore that part. My point is that, sorry, by taking when he took the ball to start the first half, Belichick knew that if to start the second half, McDermott had to make a decision. He had to decide, did he want to pick the direction his offense would be going, or did he want the ball to start the third quarter? McDermott could not possibly give Belichick and the Patriots the ball to start the first and third quarter. That would be widely mocked, right? You're giving up a possession in exchange for having the wind in your direction. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. That's what every coach does every single time they defer in the first half.
But I guess what I'm wondering is, do we think that because the Diggs pass on, I think it was third down, maybe second down, that sailed over his head, that was thrown into the wind, I think maybe he completes that pass if they have the wind behind them.
Maybe.
And that's what I'm wondering could it possibly have been worth a possession to have the wind at your back in the fourth quarter?
Maybe. But I don't know like what the analytics say in terms of how many points that cost them. But they had chances to win the game. They were down to the 12-yard line or wherever they were in that last drive. And then the drive before that, as Breech mentioned, Bass honked a 33-yarder. Although Bass did say, and maybe this should have informed Sean McDermott's decision, or maybe he thought he would be in field goal range when they were with the win. But he did say before the game to Lisa Salters that he didn't think he could make anything beyond an extra point. Turns out he couldn't make an extra point either.
I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break while I bring up a win map that we're going to then break down against the grid of the stadium and the seating chart and various.
A win map, gotcha.
And I think we even have a meteorologist coming on. Is that true?
Yeah, so we have 3 separate meteorologists from the Buffalo area coming on. I mean,
and Bruce Nolan, Bruce Almighty.
I was trying to live bet it because I mean I do think that the scoring mattered based on which direction the wind was going, right?
Yeah, it did.
And so we were trying to I stole it, Sam. I was trying to figure out how to live bet these quarters where like the Pats so in the Pats first half. What?
I'm laughing at Sam's comment.
Yeah, I saw the win map thing and I stole it. I admit I stole it.
Get used to it, Sam. That's his thing.
Anywho,
it's the first time Brinson's ever stolen content.
Hey-o.
I'll tell you what. We're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we'll tell you who won the Brinson Sucks hat. All right, so Pats again, Bills 14-10. Pats win. It's weird because it was a massively impactful game with a bunch of bizarre sort of moments, but it was a very fast game and there's not like that much to unpack. The Patriots just ran the ball a ton. The Bills couldn't stop them. Josh Allen made some plays and
the Bills definitely struggled against the run, but I will say if you take out the 64-yard touchdown run, that the Bills gave up something like 3.7 yards per carry. So, like, if they would have gotten absolutely slaughtered on the ground, this final score would have been like 28-10. Like, their defense wasn't. If you run the ball 45 times, you're going to get 200 yards, just averaging 4 yards per carry. I can't do math in my head right now. And so it only took one big run. And really, if you take out the two,
that would actually get you to 180. So that's not there.
Well, I mean, that's close. We're getting close there. So I mean, for me, this game really was just two big plays. If you take out the 64-yard run and N'Keal Harry's muffed punt that hit off his face mask, the final score here is 7-3, and that's probably what it should have been. So, I mean, that's what this game was. Like you said, Brinson, it was the Patriots running the ball nonstop and just getting small chunks, running out the clock, and the Bills never had time to do anything else.
And by the way, Brinson's giving McDermott a hard time about the coin toss stuff, and that's fine. But I mentioned this on the pre-show, Breech. Why in God's name was N'Keal Harry back there fielding punts for the first time in his life? I mean, I know that Olszewski was in front of him, and there was a staggered situation. Here's an idea. Just don't put anybody back there if you're concerned, because we've seen this happen before this season, not with the Patriots, but with other teams, where the returner's unsure, he moves forward, the ball hits him, and then the ball's turned over. And it's like, if you don't go near the ball, it won't touch you. And that led to the touchdown.
He had the under on receiving yards for N'Keal Harry, like me, and needed to needed to get him in that snap on the field so it counted. It wasn't.
He did make the critical block on that Damian Harris touchdown run. So
yeah. He's actually is a good blocker.
Should be.
Yeah, got to do something. All right, let's give away a hat. The winner of our hat, the Brinson Sucks hat. You get your choice of a toboggan or a
baseball cap.
A baseball cap. That's right. At Hot Take Chase.
Ooh.
Keep smashing that like button, because the more likes we get, the more stuff we can give away. We'll start pulling stuff from the Pick Six. Like, you see these hoodies these guys are wearing? We'll start giving away hoodies and stuff. Hit up Debo will reach out, Chase, and you will get your hat.
There's the QR code if you're watching on YouTube for the hoodies and other merch at the merch store for the holiday season.
We'll have a holiday sale.
I got my hoodie on.
The hoodie is insanely comfortable. Right?
I love it.
Okay. Let's dive into sort of the more big picture stuff here. I don't, in this game, because of the wind, I know we talked about the wind a lot, but it was the storyline of the game. Because of the wind, I don't think you can necessarily take away massive overarching like hot takes on like, can't be like, well, the Bills are done. Do the Bills even deserve to be around? But this is a huge loss for the Bills.
Their run defense is a problem. Wind or no wind.
That I agree with that completely. All right, so give me an overarching takeaway, Wilson. The run defense is the problem. That could be that's fine. By the way, the Bills are now the 7th seed in the AFC.
Dun dun.
Half game ahead of. I can't tell really on the
sandwiched between Breech's Bengals and Wilson's Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
That's not a good place to be.
They might actually. You know what? They would be 8th, except Steelers tied with the Lions.
That's right.
The Steelers would have the tiebreak over the Bills.
Respectable. At least they didn't lose to the Lions.
That's right.
So, I mean, how concerned are you for Buffalo, Wilson, after what you? I mean, the Patriots threw the ball 3 times, and the Bills still had no answer for that run game.
I'm pretty concerned, and here's why. Josh Allen played okay on Monday night. The game wasn't his fault necessarily, but he's not making plays like he did consistently in 2020. And here are the losses. They've lost to the Steelers, the Titans, the Jaguars in that 9-6 barn burner, and now New England and the Colts. They got blown out by the Colts. They're not beating good teams. So even if they make the playoffs, and they're still, I would imagine, a favorite to make the playoffs, they're going to get the Patriots skin on the schedule. But guess who they play next week? They're at Tampa Bay.
Yep.
2 weeks after that, it's the Patriots, and then they finish with the Falcons and the Jets. So it feels like they got 3 more wins on the schedule, so they'll get to 10 wins, and that should get them in there. But they feel like a one-and-done team unless something suddenly magically changes in terms of their ability to play up to the competition. Because if you're not beating the Steelers, the Colts, and the Patriots, and you're getting blown out in one of those games, and the run game sucks in the other game, or both those games, because Jonathan Taylor ran all over you. Okay. I would hope that, and for safety reasons, that Derrick Henry doesn't come back when you face the Titans.
Their wins are
of their 7 wins, only one of them has come against a team that currently has a winning record.
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
Yeah, man, that's weird because they've looked I mean, they've been slaughtered some of these bad teams. I gotta tell you, I mean, like I don't think I'm done, but I mean, I have a pretty massive bet on Bills over 10.5 wins.
Ooh, boy, that's going to come down to
yeah,
the wire.
You're done. I would just rip that one up.
I mean, it's just beat
Can you
the
cash it
Jaguars.
out?
Just
Cash
beat the
it out.
Jaguars, and they're getting to 11 easily. It's really mad. It's really infuriating.
You know, it feels like all they have to do is beat the Buccaneers or the Patriots. They can win one of those two games, then 11 feels plausible. But
both those games are on the road too.
Exactly. That is what I was about to say, Wilson. That's where they're going to be underdogs both times.
Yeah. But all that said, although so 5, 6, and 7, the Chargers, the Bengals, and the Buffalo Bills. I think the only two of those three are making it. Obviously, I think the other team that's going to make it are the Colts. So now, if you're the Bills, who have on the wrong end of a lot of tiebreakers, you got to keep your eye on the old Indianapolis Colts. You're worried about the Patriots running you down. Well, here they are. They done ran you down. They're in front of you now, and now you got to worry about the Carson Wentz and the Colts.
But you know who the Colts' next two games are? The Patriots and the Cardinals.
Yeah, but Bill Belichick plays 4D chess, so he's going to lose to the Colts
to get them in, so they can eliminate the Bills.
Exactly. Come on,
I mean,
Breech.
if you're Belichick, who would you rather play, the Bills or the Patriots?
Let's bear in mind the Patriots have a bye in Week 14.
I'd rather play the Colts than the Bills.
They just won 7 straight games going into their bye after starting 2-4, and are the number 1 seed in the AFC. What a turnaround! At Indy, Buffalo at home, Jacksonville at home, at Miami. Feels like the worst case scenario. The Patriots go 12-5,
and they're going to be undefeated on the road. I think. Who's their remaining road games?
Indy and Miami. Now they lose that game at Miami sometimes.
Yeah, a lot they do. Yeah.
I suppose it is possible that just because of Baltimore has to play within the division, Kansas City still has it's possible that the Patriots would rest their guys in Week 18 at Miami if they had the number 1 seed secured. But they're up by like a half a game, so unlikely but possible.
All right, so Brinson and then Breech, name your 5th, 6th, and 7th seeds once the season's over in the AFC. Any order doesn't matter. Which 3 teams?
So I'm picking 3 wild card teams. I will. Oh boy. I mean, I need to know if the Colts have. The Colts have the Pats, Cardinals, Raiders, and Jaguars.
I'll tell you that Brinson is going to put the Chargers in there, and I am going to too as soon as he looks at their schedule.
Yeah, I'm putting the Chargers and I think the Chargers, the Bills, and then it comes down. I don't think Indy is playing really good football, and they're going to their bye as well. So they get the Pats after the Pats and Indy play after they each have a bye. In Indianapolis, the Colts could win that game. That game. I don't know what the total is in that game, but I want the under. I just think the Colts schedule is a little bit tougher. So I would go Chargers, Bills, and then just to spite Wilson, I'll go Bengals.
Vegas is still out there too. No Vegas takers?
Yeah, no thanks.
Breech, are you going the same thing?
What were Brinson's 3? Chargers, Bengals, and Bills?
As it's currently, he's staying with he's going chalk.
You know what? I'm going to say this. I'm going to go with a bold prediction.
You're going to bump the Chargers, aren't you?
No, I'm the Chargers schedule is so easy. There's no way, even if I wanted to bump them, I couldn't. Do
they play the Bengals 3 more times?
Sitting pretty at 7-5. They play the Giants, the Texans. That's 2 of their last 5. They also have games against the Broncos, Raiders, and then the Chiefs.
Okay. All right.
So winnable games. And they already beat the Chiefs once. So if they get that sweep, that's even bigger. So I like the Chargers. That's one of them. My bold prediction, though, is that I'm starting to feel like the AFC North is only going to get 1 team in.
Oh, no. You're going to turn on your team?
Am I going to turn on my team?
You're going to turn on the Baltimore Ravens?
Or am I move the Bengals up to the division champion and then give the wild card somewhere else?
What? That is bold.
The Ravens only have a 1-game lead. They haven't scored more than 20 points in a month.
Yeah, that's
and they still have to play the Packers and the Rams and the Bengals in Cincinnati.
And the Steelers, who they can't beat.
And they still have to play the Browns, who literally have been preparing for them for 3 straight weeks because they got to play the Browns, played the Ravens, then got a bye, and they get to play the Ravens again.
That is bold. So you're bumping the 3-seed Ravens.
I'm bumping the Ravens.
And who are you putting in, the Colts?
I'm putting the Colts in. So I'm going to go Colts, Chargers, Bills, and bump the Ravens out of the AFC North.
So Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde were on the podium after this game and are like pretty pissed. They were asked if they were embarrassed by their run defense, and they were like,
the question was literally, "Are you embarrassed by your run defense?" And they took that personally. I think if
it's just not a great phrasing of the question,
right? If you had said it in a more diplomatic way,
you could say like, "Do you think the run defense is a problem moving forward for the defense?" I mean,
or what happened? Like, why did you guys in a game where it was 60-mile-an-hour winds? Why did the Patriots have so much success running the ball?
Yeah. There's multiple ways you can phrase it without saying, "Are you embarrassed by your run?"
And people can say, "Well, they shouldn't have given all those
were
yards."
You guys expecting the Patriots to run it 46 times?
I would have taken that personally as someone being sarcastic.
So you lost and Mac Jones threw 3 times. Does that break your soul in half, or just like kind of create a crack in it?
3 to 4 pieces, or just one big piece?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as. I mean, they weren't like nobody jumped over a table and like attacked somebody, but I mean, the Bills, rightfully so, should feel
they should take it personally. And the question could have been phrased better, but it's a fair question, and I understand why they were angry, because they just spent 60 minutes unable to bring anyone down in the run game from the Patriots backfield. So
sorry, who did y'all pick for the wild card? Just listing.
Breech bumped the Ravens, had the Bengals winning the division, and added the Colts. I am going to.
So you have Colts, Chargers, and Bengals.
Yeah, and no Ravens.
Colts, Chargers, Bills is my wild card.
Oh, sorry, right, yeah, and no Ravens. Ravens are out. The playoffs altogether. I'm going Chargers, Colts, Bills, not because of any Bengals animosity, but I
whatever.
Every other week, the Bills and Joe Burrow in particular do something that made me go, "What are they doing?" Logan Wilson might be out for a while. Joe Burrow's finger's an issue.
Wait, Breech, you have the Ravens not make the playoffs at all.
At all.
Yes.
So the Bengals aren't a wild card.
They're the division winners.
And Wilson was asking about the wild card, so I said my bold prediction is, and Wilson's like, "We're going to leave the Bengals off the wild card," and that was the twist. I was leaving them off the wild card because they're going to win the division.
Oh wow! All right,
that's bold. I'll give you that.
That is bold,
but plausible.
Indeed.
Do you think? And yes, somebody mentioned in the chat that the Bills to win the division at -155. Yeah, look, it's stupid. Fortunately, I have some Patriots bets, so that's fine. We bet the Patriots immediately after my boy Gup was on. We were doing some sort of preseason like DFS thing, maybe, or a gambling thing, and they cut Cam Newton. We bet Mac Jones to win I bet the Patriots after they drafted Mac Jones, I think. Who the hell knows? Anyway, anything else from this game or the overarching issues?
I don't think we mentioned. I know we obviously mentioned that Mac Jones only threw 3 passes.
Coin toss talk? Huh?
That is the second fewest passes that any team has ever thrown in a win since the NFL-AFL merger in 1970.
And the crazy part is they would have set the record with 1 pass, because 2 is the record, right? From like
set in 1974, and that's because the Bills were feeding who? Who was running for the Bills?
OJ, yeah.
Yep.
So, Breech, what are Brinson too? What are the most passes by a winning team over that same span? Do you know that answer?
70.
Did you look at it?
No, I know Drew Brees, I think, has the record.
70.
Is it Drew Brees?
It's Drew Bledsoe. You looked at the corner of your eye.
Drew Bledsoe. I don't even know what you're looking at.
You looked.
I know that record, but that's a big record.
You had Drew right and a B right, but but it's the wrong Drew B.
Drew Brees throws 1,000 passes a game. He's the first person I would guess for a record like that.
Well done, Breech. We'll give it to you.
Yeah, well, I got it wrong, so it's not well. So did Bledsoe throw 70, or is it 71 or 72?
You know he threw exactly 70 because that's what you read. You're the guy.
I don't know what you're talking about. I literally don't. Where did I read this? This is not. I don't know what you're talking about.
Breech is the guy when he's talking to the investigator.
Know what you're talking about.
He doesn't give too many details, and he messes up some of the details intentionally. So he thinks,
guys are so say.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna limp out of the room and then sprint down the street.
He's got an acapella group at a barbershop in what was it?
Skokie, Wisconsin, Skokie, Illinois.
The crazy part about the Mac Jones pass attempts, though, is with 6:51 left in the fourth quarter, and the Patriots leading 14-10, and this is after, I believe, Tyler Bassett honked that field goal. it was like, all right, the Patriots are running the ball 3 times and they are punting and they are calling like good luck Bills coming into the wind. And they ran on 2nd and 11. They let Mac Jones roll out and pass it to Nelson Aguilar. And by the way, if Mac Jones had just gotten 5 yards, they would have picked up the first down on the screen. They threw back-to-back passes on 2nd and 3rd down. I was surprised. I thought that they might run the ball twice, keep the clock moving, try to get the record, and force the Bills' hands, rushing to come back the other way, needing a touchdown.
Well, you mentioned I think it was 3rd and 5 in the 4th quarter. Mac Jones rushed up the middle on 3rd and 5, got 4 yards, then went for it on the 4th and 1 that they later challenged. So they called the quarterback draw on 4th and 3rd and 5, which I thought was interesting. All right, Breech, let's see if you know these fun facts about a fewest pass games.
Well, real quick, Brinson, that was interesting because the Bills only had 1 timeout left at that point. So if you just run it twice, you burn their last timeout and you burn 40 seconds off. So you've only thrown 1 pass. Why are you changing your philosophy at this point?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It was a bizarre move by McDermott. Also, I would point out, I'm not trying to – I think Sean McDermott's a great coach. So I'm not trying to dog your William.
Sounds like you're piling on him if you ask me.
I know, right?
No, but
killing him.
I did not like the decision.
Uh-oh.
And I know it's 4th.
He's a good coach, but I hated all his decisions, and he doesn't know how to handle coin tosses.
And he's bald.
Look, well, first of all, Josh Allen cannot take that sack on 2nd and 6 at the New England 6. So it's 2nd and goal at the 6. You cannot take a sack there. Like heave the ball because he slipped and fallen. Just get rid of the ball. Do not take the sack. Do not try to extend it. 3rd down, they run Zach Moss. Oh, excuse me. 3rd down, Allen throws to Knox. It's incomplete after the 9-yard loss on the sack. So it's 4th and 15 at the New England 15. I know it's a 33-yard field goal, but you're down 4. The Patriots are gashing you in the run game. I sort of thought they should have gone for it there. I know that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, the Dawson Knox thing, that was a pass breakup in the end zone. If you get 7 yards, then you think about it. And it's a 33-yarder, and that's where Tyler Bass said he felt he could do.
I was going to say, or on the 3rd down play, instead of going for a touchdown, set up a shorter 4th down so you can try and go convert that.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
But on the 3rd down, are you talking because the play call, we don't know what it was because it got messed up because Allen had to run. And at that point, he just heaved something. And so maybe they did try to get not a touchdown, but then he had no choice because he was at the sideline. He was about to get jacked up. And
But I also think he thought on that 3rd down, he thought he was going to get an offsides call.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's right.
He was going to get 5 yards. He was apoplectic that they didn't get a flag.
They weren't offsides, and it feels like the officials call offsides even when the defensive players aren't in the neutral zone if they move. So they got that call right. There's some other crazy calls like the roughing, the unnecessary roughness on the push out of bounds to Josh Allen in the 3rd quarter. That was idiotic. All right, 2 more fun facts, and then we can get out of here because Debo's got stuff to do. All right, so 19 yards passing for Mac Jones. That's not the lowest ever. And Brinson, if you know the answer, you can say. I'm sure Breech already read the tweet, so he'll tell us and act like he didn't. Fewest passing yards in a single game. You want the team or the year before you guess the total?
Forever or for any team?
Is this an ever by any quarter, or is this in a win or a lot? Like, is it?
Yeah, the tweet from Gil Brandt is fewest passing yards in a single game. So I think it's probably a loss. Guessing, if I had to guess.
Okay, give me the year.
2009.
Was it the Lions?
No, that's a good guess. That's a good guess every year.
You know what? I'm going to guess the Jets.
That's not a terrible guess either. I think I don't know.
Was it negative yardage? I feel like there was a game with negative yardage.
It was the Titans, and I think it was the Snow Bowl.
Oh, it's just in New England
against the Patriots, 59-0.
Yeah. Belichick ran it up on them.
So that was Jeff Fisher's Titans, and it was negative 7 yards they had. I don't remember who the quarterback was. It was Kerry Collins or someone else. I don't remember.
That sounds about right.
Minus 7 yards. And then the other one, and then we'll bounce our buddy Michael David Smith. The last time an NFL team did not attempt to pass for an entire
game.
Ooh, not good for the dream team. The last time an NFL team did not.
Sorry. It was Vince Young and Kerry Collins.
Oh, okay.
Vince Young 0 for 2, no yards. Kerry Collins 2 of 12, negative 7 yards.
Yeah, that's not great. The last time an NFL team did not attempt to pass for an entire game. You want to guess? You can guess the year, or you can guess the teams. It's up to you. Or if you
how many passes were attempted in that Steelers Dolphins
Not
hurricane
many.
game. And
that was 2004.
2004.
That was Big Ben's
That
rookie
final score was
season.
3-0. I remember that one.
Yeah.
By the way, in that snowball game with Young and Collins, where they threw for -7 yards, do you know what Tom Brady's stat line was? Do you remember?
He threw for like 400. He did something crazy.
29 of 34, 380 yards, 6 touchdowns.
You know what's funny?
So
was Lindell White on that team?
Oh yeah.
Because Lindell White, when we did the telethon 2 years ago, he was talking about that game, and he's like, "Yeah, we weren't thinking about being prepared for that game." Yes, the score indicated as much. Lindell, he was a great guy.
Yeah,
anyway, last I'll just tell you the answer. Last time an NFL team did not attempt to pass their entire game,
1961.
1950, Breech, when the Browns beat Debo's Eagles 13-7.
Jim Brown?
What's that?
Jim Brown?
The Browns beat the Eagles 13-7.
It was
1950. That's before Jim Brown's time.
Okay.
I don't know. That might be who was the quarterback? Roman Gabriel, maybe. I'm a little getting over my skis on this.
No, I think that's a little early for
Roman Gabriel. Roman Gabriel's in like the 70s.
I would say Norm Van Brocklin.
Oh, maybe that's what I was good one, Devo. That's a good one.
And Otto Graham was probably the Browns quarterback.
Oh, that's a good one too. I knew it was some weird name. Roman Gabriel was a weird name, and I just got the.
But back in the day, like throwing under 10 passes a game, I feel like was pretty normal before, say, 1965.
This box score is amazing.
Oh, you found it?
It's just no passes.
So,
the Browns won 13-7.
But wait a second. In week 1, they played the Eagles, and the score was 35-10.
Yeah, and like there's huge stat numbers.
It must have been weather.
And the leading rusher for the Browns was Don Phelps with 7 carries for 28 yards. They had
Breech, great news. Big day for Luke Rosa. He had a 43-yard field goal.
Yeah.
So
there was there's a pick 6 by Warren Lair.
Of course.
2 field goals by Luke Rosa, and then Jim Palmer punched one in for the Eagles in the 4th quarter to cut it to 6. 13-7.
So wait a second. They didn't even run a bunch of plays though, because
this must have been
no. Oh my gosh.
They don't have the weather info for these games though, unfortunately.
So wait a second. Was there no quarterback for the Browns? Did they just run
hand it off?
They just run like a Wildcat the whole time?
The original Wildcat was Cleveland Browns.
You know what's screwed up is you can look up weather history. Okay, this is probably not a good thing to keep on the podcast, but
oh boy.
No, I'm saying like you can look up what the
weather was in that town for that particular day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like December.
That is awesome. The thing is, the Eagles only threw for 81 yards. Was Jalen Hurts the quarterback that day?
You guys want a fun fact? That Browns win over the Eagles, that 13-7 win, was voted the 25th best moment in Browns history.
That's fantastic.
That's the most Browns thing.
Oh my gosh.
You know what's screwed up? It looks like it's got to be wind or something. It's like 55 degrees there. What is going on?
So here's the thing. I bet Otto Graham was hurt because in the week 1 game, he was 21 of 38 for 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So he must have been hurt. They must not have had a backup. We can look for the season stats, but yeah, that must have something like that. Cliff Lewis. Yeah, the only other quarterbacks on the roster, I don't even know if they were quarterbacks. Oh, here's a phone Breech. Attempted like 3 passes. What was Otto Graham's number in 1950 for the Browns? This is awesome. Breech, you got a guess or not?
Like the number he wore on his jersey?
Yeah.
You're making it sound crazy, so I'll say 99.
It might as well have been 60.
Oh
my God. This is from Wikipedia, so take it for what it's worth, but the sources are cited. After a bye in the 11th week of the season, the Browns beat the Eagles 13-7 at home. Lair intercepted a pass less than 2 minutes into the game, returned it for a touchdown, putting Cleveland up 7-0. A steady rain fell during the game, resulting in a muddy field and a slippery ball. Both teams had trouble advancing. Remembering Neal's likening the Browns to a basketball team after their first matchup, Brown told his players before the game that they were not to throw a pass as long as they were tied or in the lead.
And you know what's funny?
Oh, they attempted to, but both were called back by penalty.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm also reading from the Philadelphia Inquirer that it was pouring down rain, so that played a part in it, and that the Browns
punted on 3rd down.
That's awesome. Well, you know what you know who the big winner is here? The Cleveland Browns, because they won the championship that year.
That's why it was a top 25 moment.
Must have been, right?
Imagine your team, a top 25 moment being a 13-7 game where you threw no passes in a regular season game.
Imagine that where you're like, but you're the coach. You're like, if we're winning or we're tied, we are not attempting a pass. And then you get a pick 6 2 minutes into the game. You're like, oh boy.
And their only losses, 2 losses that year came against the Giants. They were 12-2, won the championship, beat the Los Angeles Rams. I didn't know the Rams were in LA in 1950, but they were 30-28. So they scored a ton of points that year. Interesting.
Do you guys think that Debo will cut this out of the podcast?
I was wondering when he was going to.
This is staying.
All right, last thing.
Look at Brinson.
Ryan turned into a historian. He's added 20 minutes to the podcast.
Last thing, we'll get out of
1950 weather reports.
Last second, we'll get out of here. Autogram started 12 games, went 10-2 in those games. What do you think his stat line was in 12 games for yards, touchdowns, and interceptions?
For that season?
Yeah, the 1950 championship.
Oh, he said he had in the championship game or the whole season?
No, the whole entire 12. He went 10-2 in those 12 games. What was his yards, touchdowns, interceptions?
Well, we just said he threw for 300 in that first game against the Eagles, and then he threw for 0 in the second. So that's 150.
Well, I don't think he played in that game. So just the 12 games.
No, he played that game.
Oh, okay.
He's credited with 5 rushes for -5 yards.
I'll say 2,112 passing yards.
All right, touchdowns, interceptions. What do you got?
20 and 23.
I think that's too low. I think you need to go 2,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
That's what I would have guessed. What you guessed, Brinson. Clearly, Breech looked at the answer again. It's 1943.
I didn't look at any. I was 200 yards off.
But 14 touchdowns, 20 interceptions. You said 20 and 23. No one says that.
Because if you know history about football, quarterbacks regularly threw more interceptions. My guess would have anybody who knows the history of the NFL would have guessed more interceptions than touchdowns.
Clearly, I agree with Brinson. I thought it'd be something like 20 and 3 or something. You're like, yeah, probably 20 and 23. That sounds about right. Right,
I got the answer wrong, and you guys still.
Wait, so you got the interceptions correct to the exact number?
No, I missed it by 3. I said 20 touchdowns and 23 interceptions.
And it was
20 picks and 14 touchdowns. You moved it up a little bit and changed a little bit and changed the yardage total a little bit, just enough to.
Caleb Campson with the. That's actually what should be the description of our podcast. I left for 20 minutes and I came back and I have no idea what's going on.
A show about nothing.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
All right, that's it. That was a fun little stroll down 1950s memory lane.
Look at Samir says Prisco's probably at that game.
He had just retired for the first time.
That's right. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube after the fact, smash that like button. If you're listening on the podcast app, of course, hit subscribe. Appreciate you guys. As always, we will talk to you tomorrow.